Hi-da-ho, hi-da-ho, hi-da-ho. I don't know. I don't know if that should be the opening for these videos. I really like it as an opening, but I don't know. There might be a copyright complaint from South Park. And we can't be dealing with the copyright complaints around here. We have a fever dream, and fever dreams don't have legal departments. So, anyways, how are y'all doing? Apparently some people don't like this picture. They don't like this painting. And you know what I have to say about that? Oh well, oh well. That's actually a painting that I got in Venice. So upstairs, I actually have a real Venice mask too. And so when I was going to this place and I was buying this real Venice mask from a real Venetian artist, he had paintings too, and I really liked that particular painting. And so I had that particular painting shipped back to the United States. So yeah, it's my painting. It's a painting I like. It's a lived experience painting. So if you don't like it, suck it up and drive on, buckos. I do find that to be like one of the weird things in the modern world. People are like, well, I dislike something, therefore you should stop doing it. It's like, yeah, no, that's not really how it works. If you want my advice, if you want my commentary, you get my commentary, including whatever weird artwork I may have around me. And that's just how it goes. So, anyways, I do think that's interesting because I've gotten some complaints about that particular painting. I don't really know why. It's just a jester. It's literally a jester from Venice, from a Venetian artist that I was trying to give money so that he could survive with the influx of all the Chinese crap coming in. But anyways. You want to see something cool? This is something that we're working on for the class today. So this is a Raspberry Pi. So it has a full-fledged computer. But one of the cool things people don't realize is you can actually connect what are called I2C displays. So that is just a 16 by 4 LCD display. So you can have like AI going on in the computer and then just have a little display to just give you some informational stuff. And you can also make a blinking LED. That's right. You can have a Raspberry Pi make an LED blink, which I know doesn't really seem cool, but the important thing there, again, with the class today, and the point is that it's sending an electronic output to something other than a monitor, which is kind of cool. So you can have this program, right? You get a Python script that's bringing in values from sensors, from the outside world, whatever else. And then the output doesn't have to be a computer screen, right? The output can just simply be LED lights. So let's say you have a network monitoring device, and so it's pinging or it's doing requests or whatever. And if it fails, it just goes from green to red or from green to yellow to red. Right? You don't need this whole massive 8K display to tell you that you can't ping Google right now. Just a little red LED will do. So, anyways, that's what I'm working on. That's what I'm working on for the class today. So, Silicon Dojo's class today. I don't know if you'll see this. Well, this should get published at noon, so you might have time to sign up. So, anyways, I'm excited. Oh, I am so excited about Wix. Have I told you how amazing Wix is? AI, don't really care. Wix, phenomenal. I think that's an interesting question to ask yourself too. Is when you get so excited about something, when you get so excited about a technology, whether it's blockchain or VR or AI or whatever else, why are you getting excited? Are you getting excited because you see a use case? Are you getting excited because you understand how you can suck value out of this new piece of functionality? Or are you getting excited because all the other lemurs get excited? And so you've got to be it's not a lemur. What are they? What are the things that go running off a leper? No. Is there lemurs? No, lemurs are big. Are they sloths? What are the little things? There's little mice. They're little rodents, and they run off a cliff. And if one runs off a cliff, they all fucking run off a cliff. Are you one of those? Are you excited about AI because you have been told to be excited about AI, or because you're actually excited about AI? Anyways, I get excited about things that I actually see are useful. Blockchain, I have no value proposition for, no value. SQLite, ooh, I can do lots of shit with SQLite. It's a funny thing. It's a funny thing about what makes me excited. Anyways, I'm excited about Wix. Wix is phenomenal. Dear people who run Wix, get better PR and marketing people. Man, Wix's like marketing people suck. They should get fired. No, because it's funny, like, right? So I guess I got Wix. So I was looking at all these different options for Silicon Dojo. And I was going out there, and again, I was trying, like, do I spin up a WordPress site? Do I use Moodle? There's all kinds of solutions out there. Oh, and it just made my damn brain hurt. Made my brain hurt, and a lot of them got to be very expensive. Again, WordPress got to be shockingly expensive, shockingly quick, because everything's now a subscription fee. Again, all these subscription fees on open source products. But anyways, and so I wound up going with Wix, just because it was kind of like good enough. It's like, when you think about spinning up a VPS, and then you think about, management and maintenance and other things. It was like, Wix is fine. I can spin up a website relatively quickly. Originally it was like $17 a month for the original thing that I was going to get. It's like, I can do that. I can put in calendars. I can put in some of this other basic stuff. I can have that basic functionality of essentially a landing page. And so then that landing page could then be the splitter. So, the point. So you could go off and see all the other things, right? So we got the YouTube channel, we got the GitHub, we have Meetup, we have these other things. So it's like I need a landing page to then kind of glue those things together. And that's really what I thought I was buying with Wix. To be honest with you, I was not that impressed with Wix. Like, Wix was good enough. It was like, you know what? Look, with Wix, I can spin something up in like 2 days, and then we have it. And then as I figure out what the hell I really need, then I can figure out what my budget is and buy something better. And then as I've been going along with Wix, there's like more and more and more and more functionality. And now I'm like a Wix fanboy. I'm like, Wix. It's amazing, right? Because it's amazing, right? So you get this thing, and then it has like a membership module to it, so whatever. And it has like a forum, and that was the thing. It was like, oh, look, it has a forum, and so with the forum, it has a membership module. Well, that's nice. So you have a forum, you have a membership module, and then with the members, it has badges. And so, that's kind of nice. It got little badges, and then it has like this blog thing going on, and then it has, like I said, it has the events. Right, so right now it just fires off to Meetup, but instead of firing off to Meetup, I could actually contain that completely locally. So you have the membership and the forum and events, and the cool part is then on the back end there's actually a CRM solution. So the CRM solution actually tracks your interactions with all of your members, all of your users. So when they watch videos or whatever else, that's there. You can add additional information that you know about the users. You can add notes, right? So if you know something, you can add notes. So again, it's an adequate. It's not Salesforce, but it's an adequate little CRM solution. And then I found out that had the whole education platform. So not only can you do blogs and post the videos like I've done before, but you can actually come up with entire classes. So that's one of the things I'm working on right now is an introduction to Python series. And again, you can literally do the class series. Here's a while loop, here's a for loop, here's a blah 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 blah, right, and you turn that into a class, and the people, when they get done with it, they can even print off a certificate, right? So you can track the events that people go to, you can track the classes they've done, you can do the notes, the whole 9 yards. And then today I found out, I didn't realize this, you can actually do live streaming directly through Wix. So not embedding YouTube or Vimeo or whatever into Wix. Wix allows you to do live streaming with commenting system and that kind of thing right on their platform. And then you can actually also upload videos. I'm not going to do that for a while. So with the plan that I have, again, I'm paying like $12 a month because about 3 years and 50% off, whatever. But I can go 100 gigs of video, which isn't a lot. But if you go up to $159 a month, which I know may sound like a lot, but not really. When you start looking at all this functionality, basically for $160 a month, you just get your platform that you don't own because you don't own anything anymore, but you own it more than than you own whatever you do on YouTube. And on that, you get to upload up unlimited storage. So you can upload video after video after video after video. They have to be under 15 gigs. That seems to be the only restriction. And so you can have the site with all of that stuff just built into this one site. And that is phenomenal. That is just absolutely fascinating. I do wonder if the 2020s, we're well into the 2020s at this point. I don't know, maybe the 2030s. Like if you look at the 2010s, it was like the Wix, or not the Wix, it was like the Facebook generation, right? 2010 to 2020, right? It was Facebook, like that kind of social media, right? Where somebody, Mark Zuckerberg or whoever else, owned the social media platform, and then we were all stuck in their system. I do wonder going into the future if social media or the internet isn't going to turn more into that Wix model of where you have these social platforms, but they're owned more by individual people or individual companies. And so it's more of, instead of thinking about the town square, Elon Musk said Twitter was a town square of the internet, which it's just not. It's the global town square. Like, well, actually, that might be accurate. If you go to most global town squares at this point, you have the Christians on one side trying to save your soul, and the crackheads on the other, and nobody else shows up. So maybe Twitter is the global town square. But anyways, right? There's this idea that these social media sites are supposed to be like the global town square where everybody comes. But that kind of sucks, right? Who wants to be where everybody's at? Again, like you may want to be in a crowd, but you kind of want to be in a crowd of vaguely like-minded people. Like, oh, hey, we all like the same band. Like, Salvage Station no longer exists because of biblical flood. Anyway, so we had a concert venue down the road that was really awesome until flood took it out. But anyways, like you go there, and like even though it's a crowd, and even though it might be a lot of different people, we're all there to see the same thing. Like we're here to see Michael Franti. That was hilarious. Last time Michael Franti was in Salvage Station, he was like, I know Salvage Station is supposed to be closing down, but we're gonna keep it going. And now Salvage Station is just gone, just wiped out. Anyways, that's its own thing, right? But that's the thing. Like even though it's a group of people, it's all vaguely like-minded. Again, one of the weird things you get to the internet and Facebook and Twitter and all that, it's just a massive people. Like, really, do you really want to hang out with the crackheads? Again, that's one of the things to be thinking about. Like with modern social media, again, and whoever it is that you dislike, whether it's the crackheads or whether it's the hyper Christians or whether it's the Dems or whether it's the MAGA, right? There's just people you just don't want to hang around with. Like when COVID ended, we started getting QAnon people at tech events. It was weird. I didn't really think QAnon was real. I kind of thought QAnon was just like one of that clickbait crap. And then, yeah, I started going to a couple tech events. And then you sit there and you start having a conversation with somebody. And then they start saying slightly weird things, like the world is controlled by an android. And then you're like, well, I don't know if it's Android. Maybe it's Ubuntu. Because you don't quite really understand what they're talking about. And then about 3 minutes into the conversation, you realize, oh, I really don't understand what this conversation is about. And then you try to get the hell out of it. And that's the thing. Like, I don't really want to deal with QAnon people. I just don't. I just have zero interest in Q. I don't want to talk about QAnon. I don't want to argue about QAnon. Oh, what, man? You ain't gonna debate me, bro? Debate me, bro. No, I don't want to debate you about QAnon. I don't give a shit about QAnon. But again, that's a weird thing with like modern social media, is you get into modern social media and all of a sudden you're getting like bombarded with QAnon. And you're just like, but I don't, right? Again, like there's all kinds of stuff in the world. Like, do you want to argue about? No. It's just like you deal with it. You figure out like what kind of cohort you want to be around, and then you stick around that cohort. I mean, don't be oblivious to everything else in the world. But again, and that's one of the things I wonder is old school, is it 2010 to 2020 social media kind of like the global town square where you got the rabid Christians and you got the crackheads, and then all the normies are kind of in the middle, like scared. Like, like you're told this is where you're supposed to be, but these people scare you. And then all of a sudden your friends are like, well, if you're supposed to be a crackhead or a hyper Christian, that's what I'm going to do. And then they start getting weird. And then all of a sudden you're like, right. So what I wonder is instead of having a global town square, what if we had global cafes? Right? At least back in the day, back in the 90s. Like we used to have cafes. I miss cafes. I miss 90s cafes. Back when real estate wasn't ridiculously expensive. You know what you get when real estate is a reasonable amount of money? You get things like cafes, places where you can go and you can grab a cup of coffee and you can sit for a couple of hours and you can talk with like-minded folks about things that you're interested in. Cafes were amazing. If you really want to think about the destruction of the American society, think about the destruction of the cafe. But anyways, right? What if we had global cafes? Again, if you looked at cafes, basically had their niche clientele. There were some cafes that were incredibly hippie. There's some cafes they're all for the college kids. There are some cafes where all the business people go to. There's some cafes where all the political people go to. And then you go there and you can sit down, you can grab a cup of coffee, you can say, hey, what do you think about quantum computers? Or hey, what do you think about what's going on in Syria? Or hey, what do you think about flour made of dirt? Have you tried any of that dirt bread yet? Oh, I just love the dirt bread. I always got to make fun of hippies. You just got to do it. Anyways, right? And that's one of the things I'm kind of wondering about, like with Wix. And we see about all the functionality that Wix has, and a very confusing, not a very good user experience format that they've done a miserable job of marketing. But if you think about that, and you think about that taking that into the future, could that be the future of the internet? Again, a global connections, but from more of that niche frame of mind. And also from the bannable frame of mind, right? You go to YouTube and you start being a jackass on YouTube, you don't really have to worry about getting banned off of YouTube. You go onto somebody's site that they own, and you start being a jackass, they can just dump you. Gone, right? Oh, look at all these points. That's one of the things Wix has too. Wix has points. They have a whole point system. Anyways, hey, look at all these points that you've built up over the past 6 months. You're a jackass. Bye. What? You can't do that. It's the internet. Oh, my friend, I can't. YouTube may not be willing to do that. You become an asshat on Silicon Dojo, I'll get rid of you in a heartbeat. So anyways, I don't know. It's a fascinating thing. I really, really do like Wix. I like Wix. AI, Wix, But anyways, they have some weird AI components. Wix is one of those things. They do try to shove the kitchen sink in, and they have like all this AI functionality. That is garbage. It's like, hey, could you stop with the AI? Hey, Wix, could you spend more money on your marketing and less money on your garbage AI? That would be lovely. But anyways, everybody's got to focus on AI right now. Why? Because the lemurs really like jumping off the bridge. Anyways, that's not really what I want to talk about today. What I talk about today is the Bodhi tree. I've been thinking about the Bodhi tree a lot. Because again, I've been trying to figure this out with Silicon Dojo. Again, Silicon Dojo is a fever dream. You're like, Eli, what's the plan of Silicon Dojo? Like, hopefully I'll survive it. Hopefully I'll survive it. So I should start saying all these startup jackasses. What's your plan for Silicon Dojo? It's like, well, hopefully I'll survive. We'll see. Hopefully the fever breaks and I make it through the other side. Anyways, again, so Silicon Dojo is the whole fever dream thing. I've been thinking a lot about it. Right? Because again, I want to do the in-person. I want to do the interactive, the in-person thing. But there's this whole idea, again, free the end user. I want to be accessible. And I've really been thinking about, like, what is my core belief system? What is the core intent? What is the anchor? What is the rock that Silicon Dojo is really based around? And one of the things I've been thinking about is the Bodhi tree. Right? So again, I'm a Buddhist. I'm a bad Buddhist. Don't worry. Again, I'm not going to proselytize. Yeah. Anyways. But I think about Siddhartha. So there's this guy, Siddhartha. He got to enlightenment sitting under a Bodhi tree. Then anyway, so basically you had this guy thousands of years ago. And he was a Brahmin. He was part of the royal caste system. And so he was in his little palace and he was partying up and whatever. Everybody was having fun. Everybody was figuring out the Kama Sutra. Kama Sutra was the first draft back then, doing all that kind of stuff. And he was there, and he didn't go outside. He was just in that little palace world. And then one day, for whatever reason, he has to go out, show his face. So he goes out, and he sees the absolute misery around him. Absolute misery around him. Right? For him to party his ass off, other people are miserable. So, anyways, then he comes back and he's sad. Ah. Brown people privilege. Brown people privilege. Anyway, so he's crying over his brown people privilege. It's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. So he leaves the palace. He leaves the palace. And then he's poor. He's just poor. Poor, dirty, whole 9 yards. That's also not working out too well because, being poor and dirty and all that kind of sucks. Anyways, so one day he's sitting there and he's under a Bodhi tree and he's by the river and he's watching this kid play. And his little boy, and he's playing, he's just happy and having fun. And that's where it's like, the idea of the middle way, right? In order to find enlightenment or whatever, it's not about being rich and hyper-focusing on that, but it's also not about just being disgustingly poor, however else. It's finding the middle way. And he was under the Bodhi tree when he figured this out. Right. And then afterwards, what I always thought was interesting is in the sutras. So sutras are stories, I guess you would call them. Anyways, it would talk about it. And so basically, he would be sitting there under the Bodhi tree in different places. So rich people gave him Bodhi trees. I will take a Bodhi tree. Well, I don't really want a Bodhi tree, but if you want to give me the amount of money the Bodhi tree would cost, I'd take that. But anyways, like rich people would offer him Bodhi trees to sit under. Anyway, so we'd go to these places, and there'd be a Bodhi tree, and then there'd be students. And so he was basically teaching enlightenment. He was teaching the eightfold, ninefold. Anyways, I'm not a good Buddhist. He was teaching the path. He was teaching the path to enlightenment. And again, think about it, enlightenment. Again, whether or not you believe in it, let's say you believe in it for a second, but isn't that the most valuable thing in the world? To understand, not just understand why, but also how to live in this world. Anyways, but all he needed in order to teach enlightenment essentially is him, students, and tree. Right? Because it's hot as fuck in India. You really need a tree. You need shade. You might not need much in this world, but you do need a tree. You need some shade. Anyways, that's one of the things, I think about. The whole, Siddhartha. I think of it as Siddhartha, not Buddha. Siddhartha under the Bodhi tree. Anyways, and then like when I was growing up, again, being part of the Buddhist tradition, one of the interesting things is we would go and we would do whatever it is, Buddha stuff at the leaders' houses, right? So the sect of Buddhism my mother was part of was relatively small here in the United States. So one of the interesting things is when you have a small sect of a religion, how do you afford a church? Again, the practicality, the idea is I have a religion that can bring enlightenment, theoretically. But then okay, great. Where are people going to sit? Where are people going to take a poop? You get all these people together. A lot of them are going to have to poop. No, seriously, where are they going to poop at? So anyways, right? So a lot of people, you come up with religion. Oh, you need a temple and you need a church. You need the structure. You need the structure to find enlightenment. You must have a system for getting rid of poop. Anyways. And again, they're a small sect, I guess, in the United States, and so that was a thing. Is the group leaders or whatever would actually have the events or whatever basically at their houses, right? So everybody would go. Everybody would go to these houses, and they'd sit there, and they do the traditions and all that kind of stuff. And it was a very nice thing. Because when you're simply using what you already have a house. I mean, this is back in the day. This is back in the 80s when, a middle-aged person could afford a house. Anyways, right, you go and you could be part of the group and you could be part of the religious experience and you could do all of that. And it did not require massive amounts of additional investment. I mean, the old Japanese ladies, they had to pay a lot of money for that disgusting tofu. Oh, God. Can you imagine being a kid in the 80s? Can you imagine being a white kid in the 80s and having those Japanese ladies offer you that tofu and peanut sauce? So yeah, I really don't know what the hell that is. I'm now almost 50. I still don't understand. Maybe it was like an induction ritual. It's like if he eats the tofu, He is part of us. Now, don't get me wrong. I eat tofu every day. I love me some tofu. What this was, so like you have different grades, or you have different firmness of tofu. So there's silk tofu, which is basically water. You have firm, extra firm. So this is like firm tofu, not extra firm tofu. It's like firm tofu, so it stays together in a block, but it's jiggly like Jello. And then they put this. They call it peanut sauce. They call it sauce. It's more like this peanut liquid. Peanut liquid. They just drop some of that peanut liquid. The little Japanese lady comes over to you with this shaking tofu with some peanut liquid on top. Whew. But anyways, right? I mean, it didn't really cost them any more money. I mean, like, so they already had the house. They have basically had people come to the house, and they just had to buy some more weird tofu and put some peanut sauce on it. But the point of being is, it is very resource light. It is very resource. Yeah, you don't need a lot in order to have the religious practice. All right. And that's one of the things I think about, again, like I say with Silicon Dojo, is the idea of an asset light education system. Because again, you look in the modern world. And again, back in the day, back when I got my college degree, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. That's just kind of stupider and stupider and stupider. All right. Again, when people are going $100,000 into debt for basket weaving degrees, you got a problem. Again, I don't know if things should actually be free. Again, I want Silicon Dojo to be free, so that's fully accessible. I don't know if that's the best system, is making education completely free. Again, there are actual reasonable arguments against it. But again, the current system that we have is absolutely ridiculous. And you think about it. So Siddhartha sat under a tree and was able to teach people. And now, if you're a student and you want to learn about Siddhartha, you got to spend like $20,000. Like, does that make a damn bit of sense? Again, and you look at all these colleges and you look at these universities, and it's just like the expense. Again, I think the important thing that I look at with it is they are no longer charging the amount of money that's required to educate students. They're charging the amount of money that's required to keep the institution solvent, which is two entirely different things. So, anyways, one of the things that I think about with Silicon Dojo, and so that's where I'm looking at now, right? So I try to rent the space here in Asheville. That costs me about $2,000 a month. And what I realize is people in Asheville just don't really care. Again, I don't say that to be mean. I don't say that to be snarky. Again, if pouring beer was good enough for me, it's good enough for my kid. They're just hyper investing in tourism here. Again, even with the biblical flood happened. What are they doing? Dumping more money into tourism. They want this to be a tourist economy. And that's just how it is. And the people are doing what the people do and whatever else, right? So anyways, doing the in-person stuff here isn't really working out. That's where I was looking at Durham. Durham's nice. Research Triangle is great. Again, Research Triangle and Wix. That's just lovely. Anyways, looking at Durham, again, American Underground costs $200 a month to get a little float desk there. But then you get access to all the conference rooms and all that kind of stuff. They have a 40-person classroom. So, hey, $200 a month for a 40-person classroom. That's great. But it's 3.5 hours away. So I got to drive 3.5 hours. And then I got to pay for hotels. Hotels are expensive nowadays. So all of a sudden, that $200 a month thing, like $200. Who the hell cares? Well, that turns into a $700 bill, which, again, still payable. I'm still profitable at that point, but it starts getting a little painful. And it's away, right? And that's what I'm really thinking about. Like, what is the core? What is the core of Silicon Dojo? Really, the core of Silicon Dojo is the Bodhi tree. What am I really trying to do? I'm trying to build a Bodhi tree for tech education. And that's why I get interested, and that's where I get more excited with the Wix, is because it offers so much functionality. And it offers functionality I didn't really know existed, or existed in a manageable format. Like, just because all this technology exists, again, you got to spin it up, you got to maintain it, you got to pay for things. And all of that's more and more coming together. It's more and more showing me a way forward that, again, that might actually have nothing to do with Asheville nor with Durham. May not have anything to do with in-person at all. Maybe in-person is too much for a Bodhi tree to handle. I don't know. And that's what I'm kind of pondering right now, kind of thinking about. Because that's with the dojo, right? So we can have the recorded classes, we can have the e-classes, we can have the Zoom meetings. Again, so there's appointments too. So you can actually like sell or you can offer appointments. So I can offer appointments like using Zoom in order to do meetings or whatever. So I was thinking about that, like doing office hours essentially. So we can have pre-recorded sessions. We can have can have systemized e-classes. We can have the Zoom presentations. We can have the office hours. All of this kind of stuff can be tracked. That gives that gives a good educational experience. Plus, it gives interactivity, and it costs $12 a month. Pretty cheap Bodhi tree. Again, even if I go for the flashy whatever blah blah, that's $159 a month. $159 a month for a platform that does all of that. That's what I'm kind of thinking about right now. Because again, it's the world that you're in. It's the fucking world that you're in. Like when I was looking at Asheville, so the prices of everything in Asheville just gone through the roof since we moved here. Again, because we've been looking at Asheville for like 14 years. 14 years we looked at Asheville. And again, like when I moved here, it was not unreasonable to think you get a 1,000 square foot box for $1,000 a month, or something smaller for a hell of a lot less. Like that was the thing. Real estate was supposed to be rather inexpensive here. Yeah. Right? Because that's the thing. When real estate is inexpensive, then you can actually spin up businesses relatively easily. But again, with COVID and with how everything's going, this place has gotten flooded with people. The price of everything has gone through the roof. Again, the price of real estate and all that's gone through the roof. So now all of a sudden, what used to be a very viable thing now is no longer so viable. And so the question to ask yourself is in the world as it actually exists, not in the world as it did exist, not in the world as you want it to exist, but in the world as it actually exists, how do you build based off of your actual intent? And it's just something to think about. It's just something to think about. Like, what is your Bodhi tree? Like, 'cause that's one of the things in the startup world, right? They always say, like, you need to you need to figure out how you can associate your startup with something else. We are the Uber for dogs. I don't know. We are the Grubhub for cats. Anyways. Right. Like I say, you gotta associate. Yeah, we are the Airbnb, or we're the Tinder, or the whatever. And I think one of the things that gets missed out sometimes with that is when you're doing that particular pitch, you're trying to sell the idea to somebody else, and somebody else does not have the lived experience that you do. They don't have your memory, they don't have your experiences, obviously. All right, so when you make that sale, when you're selling that, you're doing that elevator pitch, you have to try to present things in a way that the other person will understand and find interesting. But again, words are important. And here's the thing, if you start modeling how you think about what you're doing based off of the words of how you talk about it to other people, how does that fundamentally change what it is that you're actually trying to accomplish? Do you have an internal elevator pitch? Do you have an elevator pitch that you can say to yourself that nobody else would even understand when you said it? That is the pure essence of what you're trying to do. Right? Because intent, somebody did something around here. Because intent is what drives all the actions, right? That the whole thing, right? Everybody has a plan until they get punched in their face. But here's the thing, like I say, I'm Silicon Dojo, martial arts, or whatever, right? It's the intent. If you go into a fight and your intent is not to get hurt, and you think you're a black belt, or you are a black belt, you think you're just gonna whoop the other person, then that little white belt just pops you in the nose, pop you in the nose, right? Your intent was not to get hurt. All of a sudden you get popped in the nose. Oh my golly, what do I do now? And the white belt beats the ever-loving crap out of you. Right, again, the intent. If the white belt walks in the room, and the white belt's intent is just to draw blood. If they get hit, if they get kicked, if they get a concussion, doesn't matter. All they want to do is draw blood. Right? That's a bad person to fight. That's not a good day. Anyways, right? It's that intent. And that's one of the things to be thinking about, like with your startup and like, what is the intent that you're actually trying to do? Like, if your intent is only to make money, then when you start losing money, you're going to give up. If your intent is to do X and that doesn't, it's finding that core intent that will drive you forward. But I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't listen to me. I'm in the throes of a fever dream. I'm in the throes of a fever dream. What if we just make education just truly ubiquitous? What if our actions were based on the concept that people were in fact valuable and that we should do our best to empower folks to make a better world? Like, and actually did that. What? Eli, that's why you're going to hell. Eli, these are some very unchristian concepts you're talking about here. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Trying to build a Bodhi tree. And maybe it'll end up being Wix. Because that's the thing they talk about, like with whatever you're going to be doing, it's like the whole pivot. But like, why are you pivoting? Are you pivoting because an initial plan failed? Are you pivoting because opportunities arose that didn't exist before, or you didn't realize they existed before? Or are you pivoting just because you like to spin around in circles? That's a lot more fun than shipping product. Some things to think about, some things to ponder. So anyways, I got to finish up a couple of things for my Raspberry Pi class today. Introduction to Raspberry Pi, 2:00 Eastern Time on Zoom. Go to silicondojo.com if you want to. There's going to start being more and more stuff there. And if you're running a business, really do take a look at Wix. They do a shit job of advertising. They do a shockingly bad job of advertising, but they're actually a very, very good product. And again, even if you pay the full rate for the full freight, the $36 a month, when you look at what you can do with $36 a month, and also, again, you don't have to worry about a lot of things. It's not a bad price point. So anyways, I don't know. That's all I got to say. See y'all later.